Hello and welcome to my vlog. I'm really sorry, I've tried this a few times and it ends up being really long, so I'm trying to cut it down because it's not that interesting. So, I'm 36 weeks pregnant today. We are really close to the home stretch. I do not think I'm going to go into labour until 40 plus weeks. I will do my children's due dates and stuff at the end when they were born. Sorry, not their due dates. And go over that towards the end. There will also be bump shots at the end as normal. However, I'm not going to stand up and flash because I keep running out of time and I don't want this to be really long and really boring. So, pregnancy symptom-wise, if we get down to it, it's just the same as before. Backache, pelvic pain, mainly in bed. Bit of heartburn, bit of indigestion or whatever. Other than that, it's pregnancy brain, where I forget everything, bit of acid reflux. The tiredness and everything is mainly because a little lady there is not sleeping well. George, would you get her some milk ready? Because I think someone's going to go for a nap. Hopefully she'll sleep tonight. She actually slept a bit last night. No, you won't, because you were naughty last night. What else was it? Pressure, a lot of pressure again, that's still going on. I'm still getting like the period cramps and the Braxton Hicks. They're two separate entities. Sometimes they join forces just to totally make my life fun, but other than that, that is just like the period cramps every now and then, blah blah blah, all that jazz. But everything's fine. It's not awful, nothing's bad, nothing's terrible, nothing's painful, bit uncomfortable, bit annoying. That is it. It's just been such a good pregnancy. I am slightly scared about the labour still. Explaining the whole birth thing before, what I was saying last week, my apologies for being over dramatic. I was doing like the worst case scenario. Obviously, if I do end up in hospital, the hospital are totally on board. We had a meeting with the head midwife, as I said before, when I went over the discussion of the home birth, when that was arranged. Basically, there are side rooms, private rooms at my hospital, and they are more than happy for myself and David to occupy one of them. They have got no issues with that whatsoever. However, there are limited number of rooms. I think there's like 3 of them. And if they are taken up by medical cases, it's tough luck. And that's not that the hospital don't support us or anything. It's just that is the realities. My concern is if it goes to a point that I get sent in, or in my case, the worst case scenario is give birth at home, have a 3rd-degree tear or whatever, or a tear where I have to go to theatre and then have to stay in hospital. We're kind of at the suckiest of sucky stuff. And therefore, the chances of it being that there is a side room available is basically nil, really, let's be honest. So that's where my fear was based. It was like the worst case scenario. But yes, hopefully I won't end up in hospital. And hopefully, if I did, there would be a side room, and all of that stuff is irrelevant and I'm just being a damn drama queen. But I am pregnant, so I'm allowed to be, right? It's the rules, people. Other than that, everything's fine. What I was going to say, people have asked about like when I had my babies and labour stuff and little bits of info. And of course, I've done it before, but it's in the past and I've had a lot of new subscribers. So hello to all of you. I apologise in advance for the crazy and the boring. But my first child is my son. He's George. He is now 7.5. He's probably going to come up and wave at you there because he does this every time. He was induced at 39 weeks of pregnancy. I developed preeclampsia, but a very mild form. So they managed to keep an eye on me for about 3 weeks, where they would take my blood pressure frequently. Sorry, Edie's down for a nap now. So yeah, he was born I had my blood pressure monitored and I had another scan at the end. And when my blood pressure started to creep up and my water level started to reduce, so I ended up with low waters, or I can't remember what the term was now. I was induced. I was just given the gel in the cervix, and then they broke my waters, and 6.5 hours later he was born. So it's a very straightforward pregnancy. However, I did have the 3rd-degree tear, and that is what caused all the problems. Now, I'd wanted a home birth with him, but obviously I was being induced, so that was scrapped. With my daughter, because I tore quite badly at the end and he came out and he wasn't breathing and had no discernible heartbeat or some such jazz, I don't know. He didn't come out brilliantly because he got stuck. So they really, my husband, my mum, and even the doctors and everything were all against a home birth for her. However, I was lucky enough to have a water birth. I laboured and delivered her in the water. She was born on her due date, estimated date of delivery, whatever you want to call it. She was actually born on the day she was supposed to be born, as it were. And her labour was just over 4 hours from start to finish. which was pretty epic, and it was like the best labour in the entire world, and honestly, if I could have another one like that, I'd be in heaven. A couple of years later, obviously, we have Edith. She was born the very early morning, or the morning of her third day being overdue. When she came out, however, she looked like she was about 2 weeks overdue. So they do think that you know, my dates were out a little bit. I don't know how that works. She was born after about at a push an hour and a half of labour. I had her within about 7 minutes of getting into the hospital. I again had requested a water birth. 5 minutes after I'd given birth, they knocked on the door and went, "The pool's ready to be filled." Oh, okay, never mind. And left again because there was a baby in my arms. They hadn't even started filling the pool and I'd given birth. So that was the water birth out of the window. However, this time, because the last 2 labours were fine, I mean, I laboured quite quickly, obviously, and the baby came out naturally, no need for drugs, no need for anything. So they didn't really see any problem with me having a home birth, even though I am strep B positive. I've never needed antibiotics. My children never needed antibiotics. I've never had enough time to have them in labour, and we've monitored the baby afterwards. My IPs know they need to keep taking hourly temps on him for the first 24 hours, and he will be closely monitored by midwives and that with new parents afterwards anyway, so there's no real fear there as far as we're concerned. But they did think they agreed with me that it was safer that I had a supervised home birth with 1 to 2 midwives in my house than it was for me to give birth en route to hospital, because if the labour is shorter, which chances are it will be, there's just no way I'll get into the hospital. The baby would be born in the car, which obviously is a lot more dangerous than a baby being born at home. So that's one of the main reasons we've gone for a home birth, because I do seem to pop them out rather quickly. Cue the bucket crap jokes. But yeah, that's the reason we've opted for the home birth. I mean, I've always wanted home births, not because it was cool, because seriously, I had him and her before the whole YouTube mum vlog thing, and she was a water birth and whatnot. So it's not that I'm trying to be super cool or anything, because I'm already totally awesome, duh. But this time it is mainly for a safety issue, because he would be born in the footwell. And do you know how much it costs to get your car cleaned if like your waters break or whatever? My upholstery would be ruined. No, it's not happening. So, that's it really. I'm going to get off. I will stick, as I said, the pictures at the end of Bumperditch. I did say I was going to say something else at the end, but I think I've covered everything now. But I do have pregnancy brain, and I'm a moron. So I'm going to love you and leave you and see you in a week where we will be at full term. But as I said, don't expect any labour updates until, 40 weeks. Honestly, I do not expect to give birth before then. That fish needs to be cleaned out. Random note. So yeah, I will speak to you all soon. Bye.